The earth beneath their feet shuddered, a slow, living tremor that seemed to come from the planet's very core. The cracked soil split apart in jagged lines, glowing blue-white like veins of lightning frozen in glass. Dr. Lira Senn stumbled, catching herself against a fallen beam. Seismic activity escalating, core readings are off the charts. Evan Cole steadied her, his eyes fixed on the widening fissure. No, he whispered. It's not destruction, it's communication. The fissure expanded until it became a chasm. From its depths rose a radiance, pulsing, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. Dust lifted in waves, drawn toward the glow. Then came the voice, low, resonant, layered through the ground and air alike. Why, do you wake me? The sound wasn't heard through ears but felt in the bones. Lira froze, her translator implant struggling to process the vibration. It's sentient, she breathed. The planet's alive. Evan stepped forward cautiously, feeling warmth radiate from the fissure. We didn't come to harm you. You were dying, your creatures, your soil, your air. We came to help. The voice rumbled again, like tectonic plates grinding beneath oceans. Help. You consume. You take. You silence the small lives that sing beneath my skin. Evan shook his head. Not all of us. Some of us still listen. The light intensified, shifting from blue to gold, illuminating his face. Lyra's sensors flared with incomprehensible readings. Evan, its biofield is merging with the atmosphere. It could destabilize the crust if it flares again. He didn't move. Tell me your name, he said softly to the glow. If I'm going to speak to you, I want to know who you are. Name, the planet echoed, as if tasting the concept. Once, they called me Aurelice. Before silence fell. Lira whispered, ancient records mention that name. Pre-colonial terraforming archive, this world was seeded with adaptive consciousness. It wasn't meant to be inhabited, it was meant to grow itself. Evan turned toward her. And the settlers built over its heart. The glow dimmed, like a sigh. When they came, I tried to learn their rhythm. But their machines screamed louder than their hearts. I withdrew. I slept. The soil sickened with my dreams. Evan crouched near the edge, his voice gentle but steady. Then let us help you wake differently this time. Let us heal what's broken. You speak of healing, the planet murmured, but what can one fragile form teach a world? Evan took off his glove and pressed his bare hand to the soil. The contact burned, not from heat, but from memory. In that instant, images flooded his mind, the first seeds falling from orbit, rivers bursting from newborn mountains, creatures crawling from glowing ponds. Then came the noise, the industrial hum, the acid rain, the silence. He gasped, falling to one knee. Lira reached for him, but he held up a shaking hand. It's showing me what it felt. The loneliness. The voice softened. You understand pain. Yes, he whispered. Every living thing does. Pain's what tells us something still matters. For a long moment, there was only the sound of wind through the cracked dome. Then Aurelice spoke again, quieter now. If you would heal me, you must share what you gave the small ones. The warmth, the harmony. Evan nodded. Connection. He reached for his portable emitters and adjusted their frequency. Instead of the stabilizing hum used earlier, he set them to pulse at a low, steady rhythm, his heartbeat. Lira linked her scanner, amplifying it across the soil. Slowly, the glow in the fissure began to sync with the rhythm. The ground's tremors eased. Above them, clouds began to thin, revealing faint light from the sun beyond the haze. Atmospheric balance improving, Lira reported, astonished. Temperature normalizing in a 50-kilometer radius. Evan's voice was barely a whisper. It's working. She's responding. The silence ends, said Aurelice. The small ones will live. The light flared one final time, spreading through the cracks like veins knitting themselves whole. The ash melted away, replaced by damp, living earth. Faint sprouts pushed through the soil, trembling in the newborn air. Lira blinked through tears she didn't understand. "You did it, Evan. You healed a planet." He shook his head, smiling faintly. "No. She healed herself. I just reminded her how." From deep below, the voice faded, peaceful now. "Then remember, healer, what you awaken, you must also protect." The fissure closed, sealing with a quiet hum. Lira stared at the living ground beneath them. What did it mean by protect? Evan looked to the horizon, where green light began to spread like dawn. That this wasn't the only world they silenced. Before they could return to the shuttle, the Council's emergency beacon blared across all channels, multiple colonies entering collapse. "The phenomenon is spreading faster than we can contain." And for the first time, Evan realized, saving one world had awakened many others. The Council's distress beacon echoed through the ship's comm system like a siren in an empty cathedral. Emergency broadcast, planetary destabilizations detected in 6 sectors. Biogenic signatures are awakening across multiple worlds. Immediate containment required. Evan Cole sat in the shuttle's co-pilot seat, the light of a dozen flickering holograms reflecting in his eyes. The readings made no sense, unless you'd spoken to a living planet. Lira Senn leaned over the console, her antennae twitching as data scrolled faster than her translator could process. "It's spreading. Not like contagion, more like resonance. Each planet that wakes sends a pulse through subspace." Evan frowned. Aurelius didn't just heal, it called out. "Then the others are responding," Lira said grimly. "And if their conditions are anything like Aiden's before revival, they'll destroy themselves before they stabilize," Evan finished quietly. The ship shuddered as they entered Council orbital space. Outside the viewport, the once serene ring of stations had turned into a web of panic, ships launching, lights flaring, traffic gridlocked. The Council was mobilizing for disaster control. When they docked, an escort of guards was already waiting. "Dr. Cole, Dr. Senn, this way. Emergency assembly convening." Lira exchanged a wary glance with Evan. "If they blame you for this, they won't have to," he murmured. "They'll already believe it." The assembly chamber burned with holographic chaos, projections of crumbling ecosystems, seismic readings, and species migration collapses. Council members argued across frequencies, their languages overlapping in a symphony of fear. The luminous chair being's form flickered to stability as it addressed the hall. "Dr. Cole. Explain why 6 planetary cores have awakened following your intervention." Evan stepped forward. "Because they were alive. You built colonies on sentient biospheres and never realized it. The terraforming programs weren't failures, they were dreaming minds. Aurelius wasn't dying, it was suffocating under your machinery." The Krovan delegate's crystalline form glowed in anger. "Your meddling disrupted galactic equilibrium. Now half the frontier worlds could destabilize." Evan met its gaze. "Equilibrium built on silence isn't balance, it's denial. You've been living on sleeping giants." The hall erupted into shouts. Lira stepped in, her voice amplified. "Listen to him. The data proves these awakenings follow a shared frequency pattern, the same one generated by empathy synchronization during treatment. The planets are communicating through that resonance." "You mean through him," the Krovan spat. "He's infected them." Lira bristled. "He healed them." The chair being raised a hand, quieted the uproar. "Dr. Cole, are you suggesting these worlds are conscious enough to coordinate?" "I'm suggesting they already have," Evan replied. He brought up a holographic overlay. Waveforms from multiple planetary cores, pulsing in near-perfect sync. "They're aligning. They've been aware of one another all along, they just needed something to remind them they weren't alone." The realization hung heavy in the air. "So what happens now?" asked a soft voice, an HFY delegate, young and trembling. Evan sighed. "If they stabilize, they'll begin repairing themselves. But if they interpret your interference as threat," Lira finished for him, "they might fight back." The room fell silent. Then the chair being's light dimmed. "Our sensors detect movement in Sector Theta, gravitational disturbances from within the crust of planet Varies. It's reconfiguring itself." Evan's expression hardened. "That's not awakening, that's defense." Suddenly, alarms blared. The chamber trembled as new data filled the screens, a planetary crust rising, tearing through its own cities, ejecting mining rigs into orbit. Varies was literally reshaping its surface, purging the scars of colonization. "They're trying to cleanse themselves," Lira whispered. The Krovan shouted, "Deploy suppression fleets. Contain the biospheric surge. Contain." Evan snapped. "You'll just make them stronger. They're acting on fear, the same way any wounded creature does." "Then what do you propose, Doctor?" the chair being demanded. Evan hesitated, eyes on the glowing planetary models. "I talked to them." The hall erupted again, shouts of outrage, disbelief, warnings of suicide missions. But Lira didn't speak. She just watched him, saw that look she'd come to know too well. The one that said he'd already made peace with whatever came next. When the noise died down, the chair being's form flickered softly. "You claim to understand their language, their pain. If you can calm one world, perhaps you can calm them all. But if you fail..." Evan nodded. "Then I fail trying to make them heard." Lira stepped beside him. "You're not going alone." The chair's light dimmed, an unspoken blessing. "Prepare your ship, Doctor. The fate of 6 worlds may depend on your voice." As they left the chamber, the first wave of planetary tremors rippled through subspace, visible even to the naked eye, a chain of blue light stretching across the void. The universe wasn't waiting anymore. It was answering back.